Gittin. Gittin. Gittin, test.
Yes, Vav.
Test Vav.
New ones from test, yeah.
Okay, new one, test Vav.
Oops.
Okay. Here we go. In a case of two Gittin, who's this one to be that made this one, and that was the first witnesses are read and valid. And if one Hebrew witness and one Greek witness, one Hebrew witness and one Greek witness extend from beneath this one to beneath this one, they are both valid. If one left over part of the get and wrote on the second column, and the witnesses are at the bottom, it is valid. If the witnesses signed at the top of the page, on the side, or on the back of an open get, it's void. If the top of this one was attached to the top of this one, and the witnesses are in between, they are both void. If at the end of this one was attached to the end of this one, and the witnesses are in between, that which the witnesses are read is valid. And if the top of this one was attached to the bottom of this one, and the witnesses are in between, that which with witnesses are read at the end is valid. A get whose writing is in Hebrew and his witnesses are in Greek and his witnesses in Hebrew, one witness is in Hebrew and one witness in Greek, for one which has the writing of the scribe and a witness is valid. A signature which reads so-and-so, witnesses is valid. One which reads the son of so-and-so, witnesses is valid. And if he wrote so-and-so, the son of so-and-so, and he did not write witness is valid, witness is valid. And this is what the pure-minded of Yerushalayim used to do. If he wrote his surname or her name, it is valid. A get drawn up under coercion, if by a Jew, it is valid. By a Gentile, it's void. But they beat him through the Gentiles who say, do as the Jews say to you, and it is valid.
Okay. Mishna test. Yatsa shma ba'ir mekudeshes. Harezo mekudeshes. So what we're saying is there's a rumor. Well, not so much a rumor. I don't know if rumor is really the right word for what we're saying over here, but it's kind of word has gotten out that this woman is married, and it's not just like whispering. Oh, somebody told me that somebody told me. It's like, yeah, we heard that there was a celebration and they made a l'chaim and somebody might, okay, so the word has gotten out. We don't have an official shtar anywhere that says, but nonetheless it's there. So now this woman we treat this woman as a married woman, and if somebody else had to come and want to marry her, we would not allow him to. Okay. And if in the same way as she was betrothed, she's now divorced.
All right. Okay.
So we say, well, in exactly the same way as a word got out, oh yeah, her new husband decided that he wasn't so interested in her in the first place, and so he's divorced her. So if it's kind of it's sort of a version of a pesha asar or pesha hitir, that normally you don't accept rumor that a woman is divorced, but since she was only considered married because of rumor, so on the same level we can say, okay, we accept that that the word has gotten out that she's divorced, and that's fine. This is talking, of course, about a woman who is betrothed, so she's not yet living with her husband. If she was actually living with her husband, that itself is a very strong raya that she's actually married, and we're not going to believe that she's divorced unless she produces a get or witnesses that there was a get. Okay. Amasla is some kind of condition, a weakening of the rumor. Now, what's an amasla? Mishna asks exactly that question. Ezo hi amasla, gerish ish ploni is ishto altanai. So the word gets out that, oh, her husband, the one who betrothed her, so he's divorced her on a condition. And now we're not entirely sure if the condition has been fulfilled. So we've still got that rumor in place that they were married, and now we've got a rumor that she's divorced, but altanai, so it's weakened the condition. Zarak la Kiddushin safek karev la safek karev loy zohi amasla. Or if he threw her Kiddushin, actually, it says, and so even the so even so on both sides of the condition of the rumor,
All right.
if there's any kind of doubt as to whether she's actually married or not, then we say, okay, she's probably not married. We don't accept the rumor because there is some kind of condition built into it, and therefore if it came about that her rumored husband disappeared and she wants to marry somebody else, say, okay, that's fine, because the rumor itself was not a strong rumor. Okay, Mishnah Yud, to conclude our Masechta. Beis Shammai omrim lo yigaresh adam es ishto ela im kein matza badavar erva. So Beis Shammai are very strict about the conditions under which a man is allowed to divorce his wife. The only reason he's allowed to divorce his wife, according to Beis Shammai, is if he actually finds that she is being unfaithful, there's something immoral about her behavior. Okay, davar erva shneimar matzah bah ervas davar. So when in the sorry,
Right. I'm okay.
I think that's actually in this week's parsha. Right? What's this week's parsha? It's ki say. Right. So that's this week's parsha. Ki matzah ba ervas davar. If he finds some kind of erva in her, that's what Beis Shammai say. As here I'll say no. You're saying ervas davar is one concept. We're saying no, it's erva or davar. They say even if she burned his food. Okay, it must have some sort of substantial thing, and probably not just a once-off either, where she's just like lax in her domestic duties, and he's just held with her and not respecting him or things like that. They use exactly the same pasuk to justify it, but they're looking at ervas davar as two separate things that, like any substantial thing, is reason enough for him to justify divorce. Okay. Rabbi Akiva goes even further. Afilu matzah ba acheres na'ah mena. So he's out clubbing and he sees another girl that takes his fancy, and he says, you know what, you'd be a better wife than my current wife.
Right.
So says Rabbi Akiva that he's entitled to go ahead and divorce his wife and take a different one. Because it also says that if she doesn't find favor in his eyes, if he doesn't like her. So Rabbi Akiva has really lowered the bar. One thing that Chazal were particularly, even Rabbi Akiva, who's really lowers the bar a lot for what constitutes grounds for divorce, but everyone agrees that divorce is something that is not an ideal situation. I mean, obviously, if you reach the situation where it's an unhappy marriage and it's not working, then you got to do it. But there's a saying in the Gemara that even the mizbeach is crying for the on the occasion of a divorce. But sometimes it's the best thing for an unhappy marriage. So Bezrat Hashem, we should all have happy marriages. And Hadron Alach Masechus Gittin.
Good.
Okay, first Mishnah in Kiddushin. You got it there?
Yep.
Okay. Isha niknes b'shalosh derachim. So a woman is acquired in three ways. B'konais atzma b'shtei drachim, and she acquires herself in two ways. Okay. Now it's interesting that we use the word niknes, that she is acquired. It's actually a kinyan, like we have a kinyan kesef, and actually that's the lashon of the Torah. Ki kach ish isha, when a man takes her. Right. We have the lashon of Chazal is Kiddushin, is lekadesh isha, but that's not anywhere inside the Torah. So we talk about Kiddushin and Nisuin, but that's not the way it's written in the Torah. Anywhere that you have a marriage written in the Torah, it's a vayikach. He'll take her, or you'll see like he gave her, like a father gave his daughter to marriage to somebody. Okay, so
I was specifically thinking of It wasn't Yosef. It was
Yes,
Yosef.
it was Yosef.
Joseph, who brought the bracelets and everything to give to the father, to give to the girl.
Oh, no.
I'm not thinking that wasn't Yosef.
Vaitenlo is Osnath Bas Potifera. He gave. It's a transaction. It's a transactional thing to marry. I'm thinking what bracelets. Oh, this is what you're talking about, like Eliezer going off to marry.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Right, Eliezer going off and bringing all the jewelry and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So now we're going to enumerate what are the modes of marriage. Niknes bekesef, a woman, and that is our minhag today, is that is acquired with money or the equivalent of money. So the ring, the reason why the ring acquires her is because it's got a value. So you always see that the Masada Kiddushin tells the Eidim, look at this ring. Do you think this ring is a Shabbat Prota, which we'll see in this Mishna as well? Is it valuable enough? And they all look and say, don't know how much it's worth, but it's definitely more than a Prota. So that's that's the bar. And when he puts the ring on her finger and she accepts it, that's Kiddushin. Ishtar. Now, what a man can also do is instead of giving her a ring, if he's a bit of a cheapskate, he can give her a scroll that says Harayat Mekudeshesli and hand it over to her. I don't know what the exact wording would be of the shtar, because it's like nobody does that, but it's technically possible. So if he doesn't have any money, he could do it with that. Uva beer, right? Caveman style. Right? He can take the woman, and in front of witnesses, he can say, Hare, this woman is going to be my wife through this beer, and he'll close the door behind them, and they'll stay in Yichud for Kedei beer, and then they say Mekudeshes. She says, okay, we also don't do that. Okay. But the reason it is significant that you can do Kiddushin with beer, because that's the whole reason why. Remember, we had this machlokes between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai about a get yashan, the old get. That if no, it wasn't specifically about the old get, but it was like if a man divorced his wife, and then they were in yichud together afterwards. So the Beis Hillel says that she needs a new get. Why? Because there's a chashash that they were in yichud together, and maybe he had beer with her inside the yichud als kiddushin. Right. So that could be a kiddushin by itself. So we've got to be choshesh for it. And interestingly, that's one of the chumras of Beis Hillel, we said, and this also is a chumra of Beis Hillel, is that right now we're going to see the next the next chumra of Beis Hillel is bekesef Beis Shammai omrim b'dinar or b'shabbat dinar, or Beis Hillel omrim b'pruta b'shabbat pruta. Okay, so Beis Hillel will say that even as much as a pruta is enough to be mekadesh a woman, and you got to be choshesh for that. So that's a chumra of Beis Hillel. It sounds like it's a kula. They say, oh no, you only need a pruta to be mekadesh a woman. So that sounds like a kula. It's a chumra. It's listed in Eiduyos as one of the chumras of Beis Hillel, where they're more strict than Beis Shammai. Because why is it a chumra? Because that makes her into an ashish ish, and if she now has relations with another man, they're chayav misa. So it's a big chumra. Okay. As opposed to the dinar, where Beis Shammai says if it is less than a dinar, they're not married. No, nothing doing. Okay, so what kamahi pruta? We defined the value of a pruta over here. Agav, while mentioning it, echad mishmone be'isar italki. It's 1/8 of the Italian isar. And now, and since everyone knows what an isar italki is, now we all know what a pruta is. Okay, v'kona is atzma. How does she acquire herself? How does she get out of the marriage? The get is a misas abal. 2 ways that a woman leaves a marriage, either through a divorce or through her husband dying. Yavama niknes b'bia. So there's only one way for a yavama to be properly married, and that's by bia. Chazal added on later that there should be a mamar, which is effectively which is kesef.
Right.
So
right.
Like this caveman style type of thing. You want it to look like a regular marriage. And so that's where we have all that discussion about Mamar being the Kiddushin Durabanan. But Minatorah, there's only one way for a Yavama to be married, and that's through Bia. And she goes free. Yavama is released to be able to marry somebody else, either through a chalitza or by the death of the Yavam or all of the Yavamim. So if they're multiple brothers and just one of them dies, that doesn't release her from Yibum. It's got to be all eligible brothers have got to die for her to be freed. Okay. Adkan, Chazara back in Gittin.
Did you ever see, I don't know if you ever saw that program that was on, it was called Shitzel?
Stissel. I heard of it, I've never seen it.
Never seen it? Oh, you would probably like it, I think, maybe. It's very interesting. No, it was, they had one thing in there was that the son was divorced from the woman, from the wife, and but they remained friends. So every once in a while they would meet, and then they would have relations. And then after a few times they said, we can't do this anymore. We have to go to the Bezdin. We have to go to the Bezdin and redo the whole divorce and do through the whole thing. So they did. So they showed how the Bezdin was working and how they did this and all. And it was interesting. I had something about you may never see her again, or be with her or anything. There's a whole thing that they do. Interesting. You would probably like that show. You know what it's about, though.
It's about a Haredi family or something like that.
It's a whole Haredi community and what goes on in there, And my daughter disappointed me very, very much because she sent me pictures of what the actors actually look like.
Yeah,
like they would look like they look like you, and then they're just totally different. And they learned the Yiddish. They learned. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I said, "Why did you do this to me?" I had this picture in my mind, and you just blew it for me. It just, it was
similarly with Shababnikim. I got to watch Shababnikim on an El Al flight once, and it was hilarious. It's about these yeshiva bachrim who like a little bit wayward.
Right. Oh, it just blew my mind. Why did you do this to me? I was so disappointed. Anyway, and these people, by the way, they're very big actors in Israel. Very, very big. And they're not religious really, and they just did the whole thing perfectly. They were trained. They did.
Yeah, Shababnikim caused a lot of controversy in the yeshiva world because they got a lot of extras. They managed to draft an actual just be milling around in the background and whatever. And the people were like getting chucked out of yeshivas for having appeared in the show.
Okay. So in other words, the Rebbeim were watching the show to see who got kicked out. Is that what you would say?
Not sure what to say.
Okay, Gittin. Zion Dalet. She should not be alone with him unless it is in the presence of witnesses, even a slave, even a female slave, even her female slave, because she is comfortable with her. What is she in those days? Rabbi Yehuda says like a married woman in all respects. Rabbi Yossi says she is divorced and not divorced. If a man said, "Here is your get on the condition that you give me 200 zuz," she is divorced, and she gave it, and she shall give it on condition that you give it to me between now and 30 days.
Now, put the full stop in the wrong place. On condition, if he says on condition that you give it to me from now and 30 days, then if he gives it to her within 30 days, then she's divorced.
Okay. If not, she is divorced. She is not divorced. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, it occurred in Sidon that he once said to his wife, "Here is your get on condition that you give me my cloak," and that she lost his cloak, and the sages say she must give him its value. Well, if one said, "Here is your get on condition that you serve my father," or on condition that you nurse my son, how long was she nursing? 2 years. Rabbi Yehuda said 18 months. If the son died or the father died, it is a get. If he said, "Here is your get on condition that you serve my father for 2 years," or on condition that you nurse my son for 2 years, and the son died or the father died, or the father said, "I do not want you to serve me," and when he was not in anger, it is not a get. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel said, in a case like this, it is a get. a rule that was stated by Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, in any case of an impediment, which is not because of her, it is a get.
Okay.
All right.
So it's Daled.
I'm having a little trouble today connecting words and stuff. I don't know why. It's the meds or whatever. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, Daled. The wife of a Kohen may drink, and she is then permitted to return to her husband. The wife of a sterile man may drink. A warning can be issued even in respect to all those forbidden in marriage by reason of kinship, with the exception of a minor and one that is not human. The following are the women to whom courts give warning: the one whose husband has become a deaf mute or mentally incompetent, the one who has been incarcerated in a prison. They did not say this in regard to giving her the drink, but only in regard to disqualifying her from receiving payment for her marriage contract. Rabbi Yossi says, even in regard to giving her the drink, so that when her husband comes out of prison, he will give it to her to drink. Just as the waters test her, so the waters test him, as it is stated, and they shall enter, and they shall enter. Just as she is prohibited to the husband, so is she prohibited to the adulterer, as it is said, become defiled, and be defiled. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yeshua said to Zechariah ben Hakatav, expound. Rabbi says, the two mentions in the passage of if he has become defiled, be defiled. One is in regard to the husband, and the other in regard to the adulterer. On the day Rabbi Akiva expounded in any earthenware.
We've done 3.
The 3, okay, all right. That's it, right?
Yeah.
And we're finished with this one?
Yeah, done a sota, we're on to Kesubas.
Okay. My son-in-law had to go somewhere yesterday. I said, do you want me to drive you? He said, I don't want you to drive me when you're well. So I certainly don't want you to drive me now. I was only kidding anyway. I wouldn't drive. Rabbi Yehuda says, we do not raise one to the kahuna by the testimony of one witness, said Elazar, when there are contestants. But when there are no contestants, we raise one to the kahuna of the testimony of one witness. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says in the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Hasigan, we raise one to the kahuna by testimony of one witness. A woman who was imprisoned by Gentiles if because of money is permitted to her husband, but if it was for the purpose of taking her life, she is prohibited to her husband. A city that was conquered by a besieging troop, all Kohanim wives found therein are unfit, but if they have witnesses, even a slave, even a maidservant, they are believed. A person is not believed about himself, says Zechariah ben Hakatav. By this temple, her hand did not move out of my hand from the time the Gentiles entered Jerusalem until they left. They said to him, a person cannot testify for himself. And in these cases, people are believed to testify. And when they are of age about what they saw, what they were minors, a person is believed to say, this is my father's handwriting, and this is my teacher's handwriting, and this is my brother's handwriting. I remember so-and-so, and she went out with the veil and with her hair untied, and that so-and-so went out of the school to immerse himself in order to eat truma, and that he shared with us on the threshing floor, and that this place is a base of cross. And until here, we used to go to the Sabbath. But a person is not believed to say, so-and-so had a right of way in this place, so-and-so had a shopping spot, they utilizing spot in this place.
Okay, Shabbos.
Okay, Kaf Aleph. Eliezer says we may suspend the strainer on Yom Tov and we may pour into a suspended one on the Sabbath. But the comments say we may not suspend the strainer on Yom Tov and we may not pour into a suspended one on the Sabbath, but we may pour into a suspended one on Yom Tov. We may pour water over wine's dregs so that they become clear, and we may filter wine through cloths or through a basket made of palm twigs, and we may put an egg into a mustard strainer. We may make a honeyed wine on the Sabbath, and Rabbi Yehuda says on the Sabbath it may be made into a cup. On Yom Tov it may be made into a bottle, and I call a moed into a cask. But Reb Tzadok says everything depends on the number of the guests. We may not soak asafida in warm water, but we may put it in vinegar. We may not soak vetches, not rub them, but one may put them into a sleeve or into a basket, and we may not sift straw with a sieve, nor put it in a high place so that the chaff will drop. But one may take a cup on a sieve and pour it into the feeding trough.
Taurus.
Okay, test A. If one places olives in a crusher in order that they soften so that they should be easier to crush, they are susceptible to tumor. If he left them in order that they soften so that they may salt them, Reb Shammai says they are susceptible. The Beis Hillel says they are not susceptible. If one squashes olives with his tummy hands, and he has made them tummy. If one places olives on the roof in order to cure them individually, even if they are piled to the height of the cubit, they have not become susceptible. If he put them in the house or that they should decay, but he intends in the future to take them up to the roof, or he put them on the roof so that they should decay, or that they should be open to them, or they will open them, they are susceptible. Even if he put them in the house until he is able to safeguard his roof, or he can bring them to another place, they may not have become susceptible. If he wanted to take from them enough for one press or for two presses, Beis Shammai says he may cut in Tuma, but most cover in Tahara. Beis Hillel says he may even cover in Tuma, and Yoshi says he may dig with metal spades and bring to the pressing house in Tuma.
Okay.
Nachos. The shulchan is 10 tefachim long and 5 wide. The lechem upon him is 10 tefachim long and 5 wide. One would place its length along the width of the shulchan and fold it in 2.5 breadths on each side. Thus, its length fills the entire width of the shulchan. These are the words of Reb Yehuda. Reb Meir says the shulchan is 12 long and 6 wide. The lechem upon him is 10 long and 5 wide. He would place the length along the width of the shulchan and fold 2 handbreadths from each side and level 2 handbreadth space in between so that the air should flow between them. Abba Shul says there they would place the 2 spoons of frankincense of the lechem upon him. And he said to him, does it not already say, and you shall place on the rack your frankincense? He said, he to them, does it not already say, and upon him the tribe of Manasseh? There were 4 props of gold there, branched at their tops, which supported them, 2 for each arrangement. There were 28 rods, each like a half hollow reed, 14 for one arrangement and 14 for the other arrangement. Nevertheless, the arrangement of the rods and neither their removal overrides the Sabbath. Rather, they would enter on the eve of the Sabbath and remove them and place them along this length to the table. All the utensils were in the temple were placed with their lengths parallel to the length of the table. There were 2 tables within the antechamber at the entrance to the temple building, one of marble and one of gold. And one would place the lechem upon them upon the one marble which was brought in, and upon the one of gold which was taken out, because we ascend in holiness, but we not descend. There was one of gold upon which the lechem upon him stood constantly. 4 kohanim entered, 2 with the 2 arrangements in their hands, and 2 with the 2 spoons in their hands. 4 others precede them, 2 to take away the 2 arrangements, and 2 to take away the 2 spoons. Those who are bringing in stand to the north facing south, but those who are taking out stand to the south facing north. These withdraw and those placed down, with the handbreadth, and this one filling the handbreadths of this one, as it is stated, before me constantly. Rabbi Yossi says, even if these take away and these place down, these 2 is constantly. This 2 is constantly. They went out and placed them upon the golden table, which was the antechamber. They burned the spoonfuls on the altar, and the loaves were divided among the kohanim. If the Yom Kippur falls on the Sabbath, the loaves are distributed at evening. If all fails on Friday, the he-goat of the Yom Kippur is eaten at evening. And the Babylonians eat it raw because they are not fastidious.
Okay.
Okay.
Next.
I'm sorry, I just can't, you can hear, I can't put it together. I don't know.
It wasn't that noticeable.
Excuse me?
It's noticeable.
No, not to you, to me. Okay. Have a great day. Thank you. Be well. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.